Again for another week, looking at the English Premier League. I have my regular guys with me today, Biodun and Charles, Talk Football ABC crew. All right, so our focus for this weekend is City versus Chelsea.
Wow.
Historically, a big game. We know Chelsea. Chelsea's going through it a little bit at the moment. We won't talk too much about that at the moment. We'll get to it. They're showing some uptick in form. Needless to say, they are still where they are in the table. And
Number 10.
10.
Number 10.
It's like every time they win, and then you go check the table, and they're still in the same spot. But there's another
Haters gonna
challenge
hate.
again this weekend. So, Charles, you guys are facing Man City this weekend, right?
Mhm.
And last time we were here, I think with the way Chelsea was struggling, we were like foregone conclusion. City is going to tear this team apart.
Yep.
And then, we had an absolute spectacle of a game.
Mm.
That thrilling 4-4 draw at the bridge. And we're back now. This time you guys are heading to the Etihad.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you think this is going to play out? I'm particularly interested in the return of Sterling and Palmer, former Chelsea City players
Yes, yep.
heading back to the Etihad. How do you see this going on? Are we looking at another thriller? I know something that is maybe changing the dynamic of this game a little bit is the return of Kevin De Bruyne, who has been an absolute enigma since he's returned. I was starting to think maybe De Bruyne is maybe fading out, but in the past few games he's returned. He's let us know, look, I'm still here. I still have quality. I'm still a game changer. Charles, give me your thoughts on this one. Early
Yeah,
thoughts.
it's gonna be a very, very interesting game for sure. You mentioned the return of Sterling and Palmer. I really wouldn't call it a return of Sterling because
Yeah,
Sterling is kind of somewhat
he's
on the
been
bench
back.
right now, is coming in and out of the bench,
Yeah.
but it really is the return of Palmer. I really want to see what Palmer is gonna do when he steps on the pitch in Etihad. Now, is it gonna be a 4-4 game? It's gonna be a thriller. Is it gonna be a 4-4 game? I don't think so. You mentioned KDB. KDB is back, yes.
Yeah.
And he came back guns blazing. And we expect him to still, show what he has against Chelsea. And same for Haaland. Haaland is back. He's gradually getting back to the Haaland we used to know. So it's gonna be a tough game for Chelsea. It's basically City's game to lose. Now, because one thing Chelsea has shown over the season, sometimes they do good, they don't do good, but when they do good, they do good against teams who don't sit back. And we know City does not sit back. So just like the 4-4 thriller happened, I expect goals, 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 lots of goals.
Yeah.
I think it's anybody's game to win. City's game to lose, but really anybody's game to win. I know the game is really important to City because they need that game. They're chasing Liverpool. They're kind of on top of the table right now because they have a game in hand, but they do need to keep winning all their games, just to stay on top. So it's going to be a wild game. Chelsea, I guess we have the power to spoil the party for City, which you Arsenal fans should be rooting for us because it's true now. We beat City. It's gonna help you guys if you guys win your own game against Burnley. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a crazy game. I think both teams are gonna bring their A game. I expect lots of goals. I expect a winner. I do not expect a draw. That's what.
Okay. I'll come to you in a minute, Bjorn, but I want to dive in a little bit on something that you said there, Charles. You mentioned how Chelsea seems to perform better when they're playing against teams that don't sit back. Why do you think that is? Especially because, I think we've talked a lot of this season that Chelsea sometimes struggle to score goals.
Mhm.
And I know I've heard Chelsea fans say you guys lack a quality finisher. You're not so happy with the output of Nicholas Jackson up there. He seems to dilly dally on the ball a little bit. What is it about these games against the top six that makes it easier for Chelsea to score and maybe even get results?
Okay, let me make it. I'll try and make it simple. Pochettino's team or Chelsea, which is Pochettino's team, Pochettino's style
Hmm.
involves possession, possession, possession. It's like a dog that is barking but doesn't bite. There's so much focus on possession, but not so much focus on shots. The last game we played against, remind me the last game we played, Crystal Palace. In the first half of the game, we had 80% possession, but only one shot. And the shot was not a target. The game before that, the first half, I think we had 73% possession, only 2 shots. So the logic is, if you don't shoot, you cannot score. If you don't score, you cannot win. It's just that simple. So I've been watching Pochettino's style for the whole of the season, and I've realized it's a possession-driven style without the clear-cut aim of the game, scoring. They play the ball so much back and forth, sideways, passes, just hold possession, and they look for the clearest chances to score. Like if a team doesn't mess up in defense, if the opponent doesn't give them the opportunity, the clear-cut opportunity to score, they don't score. That really has been Chelsea's problem. They don't take chances. And now if you look at the Crystal Palace game, second half, by the end of the game, we had, I think, about 17 shots in total. This was 1 in the first half. So they came out guns blazing in the second half. I don't know what the coach said. He did his job and spoke to them in the second half. You can't just hold the ball. 80% possession without a shot on target is pointless. So when now a team that comes to that mentality of possession, when the opponent is sitting back, you will think you're doing something good because you have the ball. But when you are holding the ball and you're looking for the clearest chance to score or to shoot, and because the opponent is sitting back, the opponent will not give you that. Then you hold the ball and the 90-minute fades away and realize you haven't scored a goal. And of course, during the holding the ball process, the lapse in judgment at the back opens opportunity for the other team to counter-attack, and then they score. So that really has been Chelsea's problem from the get-go. Now, initially, we wish to blame Jackson because Jackson always gets in good spaces within the whole holding ball, and trying to find the best opportunity to shoot. Jackson always gets in good spaces, but doesn't shoot. And that holds the ball for too long, tries to get a foul, get a card on the opponent, instead of just shooting. Like, it's a no-brainer, shoot. There are too many times Jackson will get in front of the goalpost and pass the ball. Sterling does the same thing sometimes, even though he's kind of been our most direct player for a long time. So the point is, if you do not shoot, you cannot score. If you do not score, you cannot win. And that has been Chelsea's problem throughout the season. They need someone who is straight go-getter, doesn't care about passes, doesn't care about possession. And I think the coach needs to fix that in the system. There's so much possession you can have. If you don't shoot, nothing can come of it. You don't have to wait for the opponent to open up a chance for you. You create those chances yourself. That's it.
But let me get your thoughts. So, looking at something that Charles talked about, he talked about possession against the, so to speak, smaller teams that like to sit back. Chelsea want to dominate possession, right? But they're going against a City team that is, historically they're ball hungry. They want to hold the ball and they come at you again and again and again, and they literally wear you down. That's what they did to Burnley when they play. That's what they did to Brentford. They rinse and repeat. They lose it, they create a chance, they score, or they lose it, it goes out and they try again. They just keep coming back at you again and
sorry
again.
to interrupt. That's the difference between Chelsea and City. They don't just have the possession, they go at you. They lose it while they're going at you, they recover it, they go at you again. When Chelsea tries to go at you and they lose the ball, or they get the ball back, they go
don't recover it back
back.
as quickly.
Yes, there's something stops on the final third. If the opportunity is not clear cut, they go all the way back and try all over again. City doesn't. City keeps pushing. They're going to test you as often as possible until they score. That's the difference.
Okay. So Biodo, looking at that last game against Chelsea, City did have the more, they had more possession, but they had only 54.8%, which is atypical of a City side. City will typically have 60% and more possession when they play against most teams. How do you see this one going out? Who do you expect to dominate possession? With De Bruyne back, how do you expect City to approach this game? Are we expecting another thriller where we're expecting a lot of goals, or is this going to be a City game where they tighten up at the back and they just go again at Chelsea again and again?
Oh yeah, man. Number one, Charles. You don't need to shoot to score. Sometimes you have some defenders on the other side that could be generous. In this case, it might be disaster giving goals to Man City. So if Man City decides not to shoot, they might have disaster allowing on goals. I just want to put that out there. But
It's just
yes,
that. It's,
the last time Chelsea City played, I remember very well. I was so confident that Chelsea wasn't going to score a goal because Chelsea had a bad run of form. I was so confident that City was going to go there, destroy them. And to be clear, guys, Chelsea fans, calm down. That was an home game for you. It was a draw because I remember very well they celebrated that draw as if they won, right? And that was a draw in Stamford Bridge. So remember that very, very clearly. Now, I was so confident, even knowing that KDB was out. I was so sure that no matter the team that Pep put out there, will still destroy Chelsea. Good game, Chelsea. They came all out. They were like, no, you're not going to embarrass us. So they played well. So that was a good game, right? I was trying to compare that function with the same team that played for City over the week. And I'm trying to see what changes would, happen. Now, we all know that the team that played against Chelsea the last time, instead of KDB, we had Alvarez. This time around, I think KDB is coming in. So there will be more potent, more fire, more directness, at Chelsea. Now, that possession, I don't expect it to be less than 59, 60% to Man City's advantage. So you will see the typical Man City pressing. Now, Chelsea will try to do now. I would have given them a chance, but I watched them against Liverpool. First half, they started well. And that's how you test a team that is ready to fight. You understand what I'm saying? They tried to fight, they really tried to do it, but they just couldn't because they were not just up to that standard. So I am not so sure they will be able to do that against Man City. They will try to push back at the beginning of the game, but I think they will be overwhelmed eventually and they'll have to give up to City. Because as you rightly said, which Charles agreed with, it is pressure, more pressure, more pressure. If that doesn't work, keep pressuring, overwhelm them, frustrate them, discourage them, and let them give way. So you will give way, right? And when you give way the first time, you are in trouble because they will keep coming at you and you will give way again and there will be second goal. Now, can you push back? Yes, you have players that can push back. Palmer will want to prove again to Guardiola that you shouldn't have sold me. Sterling wants to prove that I'm better than being in the light blue colors. I can do better, right? So I think they will be given another chance. It's a psychological game that the coach will try to play to say, okay, go play against your former employer. So I think Sterling might start. I think Palmer might start. What Chelsea did well the last game, I still remember very well. The way they played was really good. Even with that, they still didn't have much possession than City. So can they do that again? I think they can. I think Pochettino will do that. I just checked the head-to-head record for Pochettino versus Guardiola. It's been 13 wins for Guardiola. It's been 4 wins for Pochettino. It's been 6 draws. So the record is not that favorable, right? But it's been good for Pochettino. I mean, better than Emery versus Guardiola, right? So putting that out there, Pochettino will really, really try. At the same time, be thinking about the EFL Cup ahead, right? While City is also thinking about how to maintain that winning record. So honestly, I would wish that City drop points, but I don't see that coming. But I wish that a draw will cause them to drop points. But City don't think like they have games coming, right? Because they have a very thick squad. They have Kovacic, they have Nunes, they have boys. Now, Grealish is injured, and I think it's going to be hard for a while. So I expect Doku to start. I expect Phil Foden, which is on a run of form. That guy has scored in 3 games back to back. Now, Guardiola is crazy. Everybody might expect to see Foden out there, and you see Foden on the bench. What could happen? Don't be surprised. But if he puts out a thing that I'm thinking in my head, I'm not sure if Chelsea has a way around it. It's going to be Foden. It's going to be Doku. It's going to be KDB in the middle. And it's going to be behind him. You're going to have Silva playing around KDB. I'm going to have Rodri standing up here, which has help. So Rodri is playing with KDB and playing with Silva. It gives Rodri some confidence to just stop you guys. So that first leg that you had Sterling and Palmer, because Sterling and Palmer really messed up Rodri in that game. The way they came to that midfield, they left Rodri in a no man's land. This time around, I don't think that will happen. I think there will be Silva to help him, and I think there will be KDB to be an athlete for them. And when KDB has an athlete and he has the vision to look at Foden and look at Doku, I think that's a problem right there. If you can't go on that side, I think there will be Haaland pushing out Silva back to the line so that Chelsea doesn't come to the middle and fight. Haaland will be pushing them back as well. And you have Kyle Walker, and I don't know, Vardy, I think he has enough, so maybe it's going to be Nathan Hake. So I think it's going to be a very good game. I love to see an exciting game. Honestly, I'm looking forward to it. I wish Chelsea can force them to drop a point, but I just don't know if they are man enough to do that. I saw them the first half against Liverpool. They tried to do it. Liverpool broke them down. I think City will break them down this time around.
So, quick injury update, Charles. Is Thiago Silva available for this game? Because he got a knock and was subbed off in the last game.
Yeah, we're not sure. We don't know yet. We're not sure yet.
Okay. So I think that's the point of contention. I wanted to look at matchups. Something that's been talked about a lot coming into this game is Gallagher's pressing against Rodri's, press resistance.
Yeah.
And so you talked about that to Biodo, in him maybe needing Bernardo Silva alongside him because of the way both Palmer and Sterling, drift into the middle. So I want to look at that midfield setup a little bit, right? You have Gallagher going up against Rodri. Enzo and Caicedo are going to need to do a job against, the combination of Foden and De Bruyne. I was actually very impressed with Caicedo in the last game. He shielded the ball a lot. He had a lot of recoveries.
Maybe second half, fire. Sorry to interrupt you. There was a foot trade. There was a foot trade that made Caicedo look like a 15 million player. I don't think that is the first half. Yes, there was a foot race.
Ayo, continue.
Well, I just want to talk about that matchup, right? And something interesting that happened in the last game too. He's playing Palmer in a false nine role, and I think he's starting Jackson off on the left, which is a little tactical switch. How do you think that midfield sets up against City? And where do you think do you think he goes with that same tactical switch of playing Palmer in a false nine role? Because I think we've seen Palmer given that license, especially since Madueke has come back into the team on the right. Earlier in the season, Palmer was playing off on the right as a winger, but he's given Palmer more of that license in a central role. He started off playing as a 10 a little bit, but now he's playing him as a false nine. How do you think that impacts, how City decide to set up in midfield? And does Sterling start off on the bench, or do we get Jackson again, playing off on the left?
So for the first question of how does that impact City, I think City is not going to, knowing Pep may not consider what we are bringing. He may just bring his own squad. And as Pedro has hinted earlier, Pep is quite unpredictable. So we may see a reshuffle of who's going to play where. Bernardo Silva may end up playing on the left, Foden may end up playing on the middle, or even come from the bench. Doku is probably going to start because of how much flair Doku can bring on the left. And right now, Chelsea doesn't have the best defense, even though I think our wing backs can reasonable maybe handle Doku. But it's not guaranteed. So I think that gamble will be placed on there. Now, as for the midfield when it comes to Chelsea, or as for Chelsea's formation in general, I think it also depends on what happens between Noni and Poch. Because Noni was taken out in the first half in the last game because he didn't just only cost the goal, he didn't play as well as he had played in the previous games. You understand? Yeah. Even though he looked like our best attacker, but he caused the goal. That was a big deal. Like, the goal was so preventable. He was just dilly-dallying on the ball. And Poch came out in halftime. So, whatever happened between them, if Poch forgives him, he will probably start with Noni on the right, Jackson on the left, Palmer up front, roaming as a false nine. If Poch doesn't forgive him, then Sterling will probably have to come into the play. And Sterling will probably have to come in on the left, Palmer shifts to the right, Jackson up front. I think the presence of Jackson up front may be needed because Jackson is not as bad as a lot of Chelsea fans make him seem. Me included. He gets in good positions. He knows how to hustle. He can be physical when he wants to be. You understand? He just needs to remember he's a striker and not a winger or a midfielder or something else. When you see the goalpost, shoot the ball. And he gets in those positions to shoot the ball. Now, will he get that many positions with City, with the likes of Ruben Diaz and Co? Maybe not. But the few he gets, hopefully he will make use of them. So I'm thinking it's going to be Sterling on the left, Palmer on the right.
Just said he's not
middle. I'm sorry?
You just said Noni before Sterling.
No, I said if he forgives Noni.
If he forgives, yeah.
But with what happened in the last game, he probably wouldn't forgive Noni. And then Noni start from the bench. Sterling comes because the former City player has a lot to prove. Palmer on the right, but still has that free range ability to go from left to right, center, either way. But I think Jackson up front because his presence may be needed to maybe just the way Alan puts pressure on the other defense. Jackson may be needed up front. I don't think Palmer is as physical enough to do that. Palmer will have the roaming ability. Now, Gallagher versus Rodri. If Gallagher has a good game, then Rodri has to step up. Now, Gallagher is nowhere near Rodri when it comes to the level of talent and strength and performance. But Gallagher has something that a lot of Chelsea players need to develop: heart. Gallagher is a fighter. He's had times when they were almost about to sell him. They sent him on loan so many times. Even in January last month, they were still talking about selling him. So Gallagher has a lot to prove. He has a lot to prove. So I think if Gallagher comes, the Gallagher we've been seeing for the past 5, 6, 7 games, Rodri will have a lot of work to do. You understand? I'm not saying Gallagher is better, but if Gallagher can back up what he's been doing, then it gives Palmer and the other guys up front, a better opportunity to do what they have to do. And with all that in place, I think we can get a goal or two. Now, we know City's going to have the possession, as Biodu mentioned. Do we absorb pressure and fight back with counters? But so far, we've not been good at counters. We get the ball, we try to counter, then we remember, oh my God, possession is more important. Let me stop and pass the ball back. If we play if we decide to absorb pressure and then counter and not counter, then we're not going to do anything. But if we go toe-to-toe with City, it's going to be risky because our defense is not at its best, especially if Thiago Silva is out. So I'm leaving that up to the coach. Me personally, if I was a coach, I would say set up to absorb pressure and counter. But every counter.
How do you do that? How do you tweak your squad to set Chelsea up? What changes do you make? Or
it's a mentality. You have the main thing is to have the defense sit back, the 2 center backs sit back, wing backs are doing what they do, 2 center backs sit back, 2 defensive midfielders in Caicedo and Enzo sit back. So I have those 4 blocks sitting back with the wing backs doing what they do best, and also remembering to use every counter. It's very, very important. If you watch Chelsea's games, we get so many opportunities to counter, especially when we decide to absorb pressure, but we do not use the counter. And that's where Thiago Silva also comes in. He's been throwing some very, very good passes. Enzo does it, but Thiago Silva has been doing it more. Throwing those long ball passes for those counters to be important. If we take advantage of every slight counter opportunity, we will defeat City. City's defense hasn't really been the best. They've been conceding goals. So they are not unbeatable. They are not invincible in defense. Their goalkeeper is not invincible like he's been in the past couple of seasons. If we absorb pressure and make use of every counter, I'm talking about every slight chance of a counter, we take it, do it. You don't stop when you have an opponent. You go through the opponent. You understand? If we go with that mentality, we will score. Now, would we win? That's a story for another day. But we would score. And scoring is half the problem. Once you can score, that's half the problem.
Let me throw the same question to you, Biodo. So I'll ask the question of the matchups in the midfield. How you think the midfield setups, the wingers might impact the game.
Stop laughing.
Biodo, listen to the question. Don't be listening to my commentary. Focus on
but even more importantly, right? Even more importantly, Charles talked about countering, and you mentioned the hope that maybe Chelsea might be able to get a result and cause City to drop points. Where do you see a weakness, or what tactical switch do you see Chelsea making to exploit any possible weakness that the City side might be having currently?
Thank you. So once bitten, twice shy, right? I shouldn't be making a boastful prediction, but I will. Right? I shouldn't be saying stuff because last time
you're not yet shy.
You haven't learned.
This second leg, the best result that Chelsea will get is a draw, and I don't see that draw even happening. So forget number one. Chelsea is not going to win. It's not going to win this game. They're not going to beat City.
That's confirmed.
That's confirmed. Confirmed.
Okay.
The draw itself, the chance of having that draw is 0.001 of having that draw. Now, can you score? You can score. They will just score more. No big deal. You can score. Anybody can score City. They will just score more goals. So let's just be sure on that. And this time around, yes, hold me to it. Next time, come and beat me on the show. Right? Next week, come and beat me on the show. But this one, I'm very sure that Chelsea is not winning this game. The best you will get is a draw. Now, let me now answer your question. Because I heard you did
Yeah,
some.
that's what we're waiting for.
Yeah,
For
you
you to
did some.
answer.
I hear you correctly. That's how you would like to set up. But Pochettino, listen to me. If you are watching this show, if you're going to watch it anytime, Pochettino, listen to me very well. You might have the coach, the badges, the UEFA licenses, and all that. But
Need to
listen,
tag him at this
right,
minute.
Pochettino, do not play wing game against City. Win the ball and break out from the middle to the wing when you can take them halfway. Do not start playing. I asked them, no, let them play and come back to the middle like you did. Actually use the blueprint of the first leg, and I will tell you why. It worked the first leg, it can work again. Remember the last time you had Reece James. You don't have Reece James this game.
Mm-hmm.
There was a combination of Reece James and Sterling the last game that actually tortured City. How did you torture City? That was Vardiol first season.
Mm-hmm.
Vardiol messed up in that game. I don't think Vardiol will play. He has a knock. I don't think he will recover. This time around, you are facing Nathan Ake that has regained his shirt. And I've watched Ake the last 2-3 games. He's okay. He's in good form. This time around, you don't have Reece James. So playing that combination of Reece James that you talked about Hart. Yes, Reece James pushed them. He was the captain, right? He's the Chelsea captain. He pushed them. Gallagher had that. All these guys had that. I don't think there's anybody as confident as Reece James to take on. When Reece James plays, even if his team is poor, he doesn't care. He goes forward. You don't have Reece James in this game. You're not going to have Reece James in this game because he's injured. And I don't see that combination with Sterling. So whoever is playing in Reece James's role, I don't think he can counter at the same time cover ground when you have Foden, who sniffs like a dog for goals. So you're in trouble. So Pochettino, listen to me. Do not do it. What you can do, what I think you should do is play a false nine. Do not put Jackson in front. You know why? Because Jackson will not have a job to do. You know why? Because it's either going to be Jones, Stones, or Akojin in the middle, and they will come to the midfield. Watch what Akojin is being trained to do now. Akojin is being trained to invert. So he's learning that inversion that Pep brought. If he's not playing Akojin, he's going to play Stones. So what I'm trying to tell you is that back four will turn to back three. You need to find a way to occupy their midfield and break out. When you break out, you have a chance. That's when you can take them one-on-one. And that's when you have Palmer creating problems everywhere. So do not do that. That's your position. You play as a winger. No, let them win the ball. Let them fight for it in the field midfield. I tell you, Gallagher is not going to get near Rodri. Why? How do I know that? This is what's going to happen. Rodri is going to be free. Typically, he builds the game, right? He's going to go receive it. So that's one outlet. I think Pep is going to add to that outlet by saying, I have an option for Rodri to pick the ball and build it from the back, or Bernardo Silva picks the ball and brings it from the back, or Stones himself actually drives the ball once they play from the goalkeeper and Stones bring it to the midfield. Now tell me, how many players will Gallagher alone go and chase? He's going to have to chase and lock down Silva. He's going to have to lock down Stones. He's going to have to lock down Rodri. Those three people can build the game from the back. They are successfully building the game from the back. The outlet is going to be KDB. He doesn't dribble. He plays direct. So you're going to have a problem at hand. That's why I said, let your guys, you add to the midfield. Gallagher is obviously a midfielder. Enzo and Caicedo will stay, be very, very disciplined, ready to do a lot of work. Let them do it for 70 minutes. There are players on the bench that can come in and replace them, right? But for that 70 minutes, let Caicedo and Enzo run the race of their life. Let them lock down that midfield. Let Gallagher chase down one person. Let Sterling and Palmer be on Stones and be on Silva. That's the way you force them to make a mistake. When they lose the ball in the midfield, then you have a chance to then drift out. Because Sterling is so quick that I can do. I will start Sterling ahead of Noni, honestly. So Sterling and then drift out.
So would you play Sterling on the right or on the left, considering Kyle Walker plays on the right?
Jackson should stay on the right. I want Palmer and Sterling joining that midfield. Pressing. Okay. I want high press from Sterling and Palmer alongside Gallagher.
So you are saying match City their game toe to toe?
Yes, because the only chance
it's about compressing the midfield. Then
you have two ways against City. Either you stay back. I know that for your life, you're going to play. You're going to defend the game for 100 minutes. I don't think that works unless you're Atletico Madrid. If you're Atletico Madrid, then go do that. If you get, I mean, watch Everton. Everton did that for 70 minutes. It's tiring. It's going to be tiring for your team, especially your team is not trained like that. That is Sean Dyche's team that was trained to defend. And they did that for 70 minutes and they broke them. Yep. So Chelsea is not going to do that for 70 minutes. At this point, you have nothing to lose. You are number 10. You either go 11 or you go 10. You can't go to 9. We all know that. It's Chelsea. It's Chelsea. It's the maths.
Better look at the table again.
No, it's the maths. We
are going up.
Even if you win, you're still going to stay number 10. So
we are going up.
Why not just go all out, like you said, with us? Go match them 2 for 2. That's how you force them into mistakes. If you force them into mistakes, that's when Guardiola will think, okay, maybe Bernardo Silva is not good enough. Maybe I need to bring in Nunes. If you should bring in Nunes, then you are good. If you should solve Bernardo Silva for Nunes, then that tells you that Pep is afraid.
But you know what thing? I see what you're saying, Biodu. I see what you're saying. But I also think if what's the name? Everton can do it for 70 minutes. I think Chelsea can do it for 50. While you're doing it for 50,
you're going to concede before 50. You're going to concede. Just watch Liverpool.
Hold on. If you do it properly for 50 minutes, 50 to 60 minutes, you won't concede. And within those few 50 to 60 minutes, you can get a counter that can result in a goal.
It's Man City. I mean, watch their Champions League. Man City doesn't care. They will give you a chance. Like, it's going to be a one-on-one, right? So one-on-one against Walker, right? One-on-one against... You remember the last time we were talking about one-on-one against Walker, when I thought it was going to be Sterling. It wasn't even Sterling at the end of the day. It was Palmer. There was problems everywhere. So Walker is beatable. Even though, he doesn't want to grow old.
Yeah.
But when you have the one-on-one, sometimes you can force Walker into mistakes. You just get angry. That's what he's going to do. You get angry. But before you can get that one-on-one, I need you to pass Rodri. And how do you pass Rodri? That's the three of you trying to steal the ball from them when they try to build from the back.
And you're going to do that for 90 minutes.
Honestly, that's the only way against City.
Yeah, you have to sit your 6 back and use those 4 to just choke the middle.
Yeah.
Right, and have your defensive midfielders try to
you don't need Jackson to be striker and not pressing. You don't need Jackson in this game.
No. He's playing up front, but he's still pressing.
No, if he's up front, Jackson will be playing with the mentality that I'm a striker, that I just need to stay forward and push them back, where I want the other 3 behind him to press. No, you press with them. So I need Jackson pressing on this side. I need Sterling pressing on this side. I need Palmer and Gallagher pressing from the middle. So that's what people pressing.
Let's see. I think we do that after we score a goal. You absorb pressure, focus on the counters through your wing backs and your wingers, score a goal, then switch to what you're saying. Because by the time we switch to what
makes you think you're going to score before City?
Before City.
If you absorb pressure and see, the key thing is the counters will come.
Corner kicks, set pieces. I mean,
if City is putting the pressure on you, your counters will come. Now, are you going to use the counters is the question. If we absorb the pressure and use our counters, we will score.
Any team can use the counter. I mean,
Chelsea hasn't been using the counters, what I'm trying to say.
That have been scored against City, right? For example, who's against City was Neto. Neto took on like 3 people.
Exactly.
Possible,
so
right?
my point is Chelsea's style, Poch style so far this season has not been attack focused. It's been possession focused. We need to switch that.
Agreed.
If we get counters and we use them, finish up the counter, don't just get there and turn around, we will score. Now, after scoring, after securing a lead, then we can choke the midfield like you were saying. I'm not against your plan, but starting with that plan and doing that for the whole 90, Pep is going to switch it up. It's going to switch it up.
Okay,
but
let's look at another.
It's easier to absorb pressure. There's not much for him to switch when you are absorbing pressure and trying to counter.
If Pep starts with the best team, starts with KDB. And Ayo, please jump into the. If Pep starts with his best team, KDB, right, for the Haaland, and he switches, it tells you he's worried, and he has no better player on the bench. The players on the bench are great; they are good, but they are not better than KDB, Foden, Rodri starting. So what
switching doesn't mean he substitutes players.
No. I'm just telling you that I don't care if he switches at that point anymore. He's going to bring in Alvarez, right? So let him bring in Alvarez, right? Is he going to take out KDB or play Alvarez with KDB? Definitely, he's going to have to sacrifice somebody. Who is going to sacrifice? Sacrifice Bernardo Silva or sacrifice Foden? Whatever he does, that is an opportunity for Pochettino to then see the game and see what do I want to do. I just don't want your extra striker to be useless because we all know that the 4 defenders at City is going to be converted into 4. So who is the match?
So if I'm to summarize everything that I'm hearing from you guys, right? Essentially, we're saying there's maybe an opportunity for Chelsea, and I think from both of you, and even looking at what Chelsea have been doing, is it's probably important for Jackson to continue his role out on the wings, right? For Chelsea to have any kind of opportunity. It's also sounding like we're saying there's more of an opportunity as long as Chelsea don't concede early or concede too many goals early. And they try to keep it tight and look for opportunities to win the ball up high.
And use those opportunities.
I think, judging also by what both of you have said, it's very unlikely that Chelsea get a result out of this game, but the opportunity is there. Is that a fair assessment from both of you? Yeah. Okay, so let me get actual predictions from you now. Charles, give me a scoreline, and then we'll look at the other games for the weekend as well and take predictions for the other games. Charles, prediction for this game. It's at the Etihad.
2-1 City.
2-1 City. Okay, going with a loss. Biodun.
Wow. I'm not sure if I've predicted a loss for Arsenal recently, but yeah, I'm an Arsenal fan, not a Chelsea fan.
It's a prediction. It's not what I want. It
shows the level of confidence.
No, that's not what it is. If Poch does what I'm saying, we'll beat them too.
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a 4-1. I mean, if I were Guardiola by now, I think my team would have watched the 4-4 draw clip with anger and letting them know that you don't need to tell the public, but that was a BS right there. We're superior. Yeah. I don't know how I conceded 4 goals. I don't know how I drew with those teams, but they need to learn a lesson. You need to all go back there, play the normal City game, teach them, let them know that this is City and they are Chelsea. So I think it's going to be a 4-1. And that 4-1, that 1 goal from Chelsea will probably come towards the end. But that 4 goals will be in before the 4-1.
So, Bill, do you realize that City had those 4 goals because they played like City?
Yeah.
Because when you play like City, you leave gaps at the back.
No.
And those gaps were exploited. And that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, because they didn't expect that Chelsea would play that great. That's what I used to say. I've been saying that.
The problem is Chelsea has been
they actually thought that was going to be a walk in the park. They came out and they found out like, Chelsea wasn't going to sit around. You understand what I'm saying?
You're saying they shouldn't think it should be a walk in the park.
No,
but you are saying
no. Meaning that this time around they are coming and starting at 150% efficiency.
Okay.
The last game they play with 92%
efficiency.
They play with 92% efficiency. And when I say efficiency, their pass accuracy is going to be around 95-96%. Their attempt at goal is going to be so accurate. They won't take shot unless they know that ball is going in. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. It's going to be a real pressing. It's going to be a pressing from the beginning. The other time, you guys you press them.
Yeah.
So the pressing was kind of bad. This time around, they will press you. Like they will press your neck. Understand?
Okay.
Press
interesting. Looking forward to seeing the tactics of how both managers set up. Great managers, very interesting squads. Let's see how they set up. All right, let's look at the other fixtures for this weekend. Starting up with the first game, Brentford Liverpool. Biodun.
I honestly want Brentford to win.
Any chance?
Brentford is not that great this season, so I'll say 2-1 to Brentford.
To Brentford?
To Brentford.
Yeah. I mean, Liverpool struggled against Burnley. It was second half that opportunity, so why not?
Yeah.
And Wissa should be back.
Charles, you see anything for Brentford here?
Yeah, Liverpool struggled against Burnley. I think Liverpool, they figured out ways to still get the results, regardless of if they're struggling or not. You understand? Yeah, it was a one-off against Arsenal. Arsenal really stepped up in that game. And of course, the defensive mistakes and all that stuff, but Arsenal really stepped up. I want to get that away from them. But against the likes of Bournemouth, Burnley, Brentford, all the BBs, I think Liverpool got this. So I'm giving it a 3-1. Brentford's going to score because they're going to step up too, but 3-1.
Okay. Right into the next one, Burnley Arsenal.
Before that, I had a quick question. We didn't talk about Nkunku. Is Nkunku, are we saying he shouldn't start that game? Did we give Chelsea a chance with Nkunku?
So here's the thing about Nkunku. Nkunku's news is never correct. They will tell us he's fit. On match day, he won't be fit. When they don't tell us anything, on match day, he will show up. So we don't even know if he's fit or not. His
We're
situation
ruling him
is
out of
very shaky. So I'm
Question mark.
never going to think about it now. If Kuku plays, good. But till then,
Sorry about that.
Mm.
Burnley Arsenal. I expect a win. Like I said earlier before we started recording, I expect us to keep up that fighting spirit, complacency here
Yeah.
as an Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
I would say 3-0 to Arsenal.
Okay. Charles, similar results?
nah, I think I'm
3-0
going to
against
drop
Arsenal.
points in this game.
Uh-huh.
I'm
Okay.
joking. I said 2-0 Arsenal.
2-0 Arsenal. Okay. No goals for Burnley. Arsenal continue their run. Fulham Villa. Villa is struggling at the moment with injuries. They have a long injury list, a lot of key players out. They're playing with essentially two left-footed centre backs in Longley and Pau Torres.
Yeah.
Do you guys think Fulham get a chance in this game?
Fulham is a spoiler,
Okay.
and I think they will win. Might be a 2-1. So
Okay.
they're playing spoiler
Charles?
nowadays. Yeah.
Reverse is the case for me. I think Fulham will score, but they won't win. So it's going to be 2-1 Villa. I know Villa, they're having issues, but I
Think they
think
have enough to get a result?
they'll find a way. They'll find a way. Against Man U, it was quite a game, but I think they'll find a way against Fulham.
Okay. I actually think Fulham might get a result in this game.
I think they will.
Rodrigo Muniz seems to
Yeah.
have started trying to solve their goal scoring problem. So
Cool.
they might get something. Rodrigo Muniz,
Okay.
they have a new striker. Yeah.
And that's why they'll
All
score.
right.
You'll score the one goal.
All right, Newcastle Bournemouth. The interesting news here is Solanke was hot for a while. I think he hasn't scored in a couple of games now, and he's coming up against a Newcastle team that they've been considering a lot of goals recently. Do you guys think Bournemouth gets a result, or do Newcastle get a win in this game? Charles.
I think Bournemouth will get a result. It's going to be a draw, 2-2 draw, because as you said, Newcastle have been conceding goals. They've also still been pushing in front, so they're finding ways to concede and score at the same time. So I think they're still going to score, but they're going to concede, and they're not going to seal out the game because of how much they've been dropping in attention in the final 10 minutes of their games. So I'm giving it a 2-2 draw for Bournemouth versus Newcastle.
Okay. Beautiful.
I think it's a win
How
for
do you
them.
see this?
3-2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Close, but Newcastle still interesting. All right. Forest against West Ham. West Ham have been pathetically poor in their last two games. They've conceded a total of 9 goals, 6 from Arsenal and 3 from Manchester United the game before. They haven't scored any goals in those two games. Do they find some form here? Can someone maybe give me some insight into what is going on with West Ham? And then, a prediction.
Yeah. So the entire club is angry with Moyes, even though he signed a new contract. I think they want him gone. He has decided to stay. They don't like his style. I think they started well. To be honest, they started well. It happens sometimes. You just have this run of form that is terribly bad, and I think that should encourage them to win the next game. So I think they might win. They might beat Nottingham Forest. Now, the last game, it's a different game because Arsenal came out. It was a revenge game.
Yeah.
Because
Mm-hmm.
I actually think if you watch the first half, Kozuma, one of the central defender, he wasn't fit. He was injured, right? And that's why he was substituted. So
that halftime.
yeah, the coach might start better, might have the opportunity to start better. But again, that has been their style. They try to soak pressure and they try to counter on Jared Bowen. That was a game that Jared Bowen didn't score. He's been scoring before that time. So I think they will bounce. I think that Kudus leaving the camp break affected their
their momentum.
options. Yep. Paqueta has been out. So Paqueta has been their midfielder.
Yep.
Kudus went on AFCON. Now, I don't know if Paqueta will be fit for that game, but I think Kudus might be back into a form and Jared Bowen will continue to show his, good self. So there might be a chance for them to start turning things around, but also depends on the fans. The fans are right now rebelling against Moyes. They want him fired. So loss will probably get him closer to being fired. That's how I see this.
Wow, interesting. You win an European trophy, and few results later, you're being considered for the sack. Such an interesting game. Charles, do you see West Ham recovering?
Biodo said it all. A lot of breaks in their players' positioning when it comes to performance from what they call his name now, Bowen. Kudu's going on AFCON. I also think maybe they are missing an out and out striker. I don't know what's going on. Antonio, what's Antonio's story?
He's injured.
He's injured, exactly. So I think they are missing out because Jared Bowen is not a striker.
Yeah, was converted.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they're missing an out-and-out striker to deliver, and I think because of that, they're playing conservatively. That's why against Arsenal, against Man U, they couldn't really go all out like they used to. They always, whatever happens against West Ham, they can absorb as much pressure as possible, but they know there's a Mikel Antonio to throw the ball forward.
They look for an outlet.
Point, but then he went for AFCON, like Biodo mentioned. So those changes is affecting the whole team. Will they come back in this game? I really don't know. I'm thinking of a goalless draw. That's
okay.
Yeah.
I honestly think that's probably the best result was just go back to defense first to lock out the other team and then start to build from there. The next game is looking forward to this weekend, Spurs versus Wolves, and mostly because Pedro Neto is back. He continued just like he wasn't injured, and he's been tearing teams apart since his return.
Charles, do you remember
Wolves?
Charles, you remember Wolves?
He's coming up. He's coming up against a Spurs team that will leave space on the wings. We know Spurs fullbacks, they like to push up a lot. Dogi and Pedro Porro both push up a lot. Do you guys think Wolves have a chance in this game? Spurs, they've been shaky a little bit at times too, and it's possible to get a result. How do you guys see this game going, Charles?
Yeah, the Wolves have a chance in this game. Yes, they do. Do Spurs have a chance in this game? Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
That game can go either way. It's going to be a cracker. I'm predicting 3-2, but I don't even know who to give the 3-2. It's going to be a very game because, my boy 9 or less. 9 or less is...
9 or less is on... Almost getting to 15 now.
I know. 9 or less is on fire. So, and Heung-min Son is back. He started on the bench in the last game. The captain of the team. He's probably going to start. We also have Timo Werner also playing, So I think Spurs, their attack is on fire. They know how to get those goals. Their defense is where they are still trying to wake up a little bit, which I expect Wolves to take advantage. Now, as Biodo said earlier, against City, you will score, but they will probably score more. So this can be the case. Same with Spurs. You may score, but they will probably score more, and then the table can be flipped and Wolves end up scoring more. Like they shocked Chelsea, 4-2 could have been 4 for Chelsea, 2 for Wolves, but they flipped it. So 3-2 can be 3 for Wolves, 2 for Spurs, but maybe to be flipped.
Okay. Yeah. Now, if we continue, the interesting thing about this game week is we have games all the way through to Wednesday. So there are games on Sunday, games on Monday, games on Tuesday, games on Wednesdays.
We should just call off work.
Hopefully nobody's listening to my recording from work. All right. Sunday, we have Sheffield United, Brighton. I'm just going to take from one person. Sheffield United, Brighton. Biodo.
Brighton. Because we need to see this top of the table moving. I don't think they will make Europe, but Brighton will try as much as to keep Chelsea behind them because Chelsea has to be in that number 10 spot. So I think Brighton.
It's all about Chelsea, huh?
Charles, Man United go to Kenilworth Road against Luton. How do you think they survived? How do you think this game goes? Man United have shown some upturn in form. They've been scoring, they've been winning. I think they've won their last 3 games now back to back, which is a rarity this season. Do you think they survive the passion and intensity that they're likely to face against Luton?
I don't think so, actually. You know what? Luton, they've been showing some power. Someone predicted at the beginning of the season Luton would not win any game. I think they heard that. And they've been trying to show off. What was the final score between Luton and Newcastle?
They lost 2-3.
But what was the final score?
Oh, no. Sorry. 3-3 was a draw.
3-3, Luton Newcastle. Yeah. So if Luton can put 3 goals past Newcastle.
It was 4-4 actually.
4-4.
was a
So if
draw.
Luton can
When they
put
were
four
leading,
goals,
Newcastle came back.
yeah, if Luton can put 4 goals past Newcastle, I think they can put some goals past Man U. So I'm calling for a draw, a 2-2 draw. Now,
Okay.
because I think Luton is they've been surprising us a lot, and I think
Yeah.
they keep doing that by getting draws here. Lose today, draw against the big boys. They may want to put a little more power, and
Let's
especially
prove a point.
against Man U. Yeah, so 2-2.
Okay. Okay. Bjorn, Everton Crystal Palace on Monday.
Oh man, tough one. Crystal Palace
We've just heard that I think Roy Hodgson is
needs
being
to
fired
fire,
and being replaced.
Yeah.
and I believe Eze, Olise, and one other player are still out. So that's
Yeah,
a problem.
Olise is out for 2 months now. He played 11 minutes on his return and is now out for 2 months again.
So
Wow.
key injuries to them. Change of manager. I don't see a manager bounce for Crystal Palace. I think that entire team is in a big problem. But against Everton that lost with Sean Dyche trying to resist relegation and Everton at home, I think it's an Everton win.
Okay.
That is not a bad team.
City play again. It's a double week for them.
Yeah.
And now this time they're coming up against Brentford. Charles.
City. City they wouldn't beat the 2 London boys. They're gonna rather drop points to 1 by getting a draw and winning the other. So I predict 2-1 against Chelsea for them to win.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's gonna be a draw against Brentford. Or maybe they'll beat Brentford and draw with Chelsea. I'm gonna leave it there.
Yeah. Okay. So Charles is going with City one way or the other dropping points this game week. Interesting. All right.
I'm rooting for
I've
Arsenal.
forgotten that this is the second half of this.
I'm doing all this for us now. You don't understand. This
Okay.
is for you guys.
Do us. It isn't a PS. You're doing PlayStation. Like I have to get points for you.
Save your team
All right.
first.
No worry. My
Last
team is
game.
beyond receiving right now. Leave us alone.
Another big game for Luton, but this time, unfortunately, they're going to Anfield against Liverpool. Is this a sure loss?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why they would draw against Man
Bad
U.
head shake.
Don't lose against Liverpool.
If they knew when they had their chance first leg, they should have carried that 1-0. They shouldn't have allowed these DRs to draw that game. This time around, punished.
Luton will be destroyed at Anfield. All right. And I think that brings us to the end for today. Thank you guys for sticking with us all the way through the end. If you haven't yet clicked that like or subscribe button, please do so now. And we're looking forward to seeing you. It's an interesting season. Three-way title race at the moment. We have City, Liverpool, and Arsenal in it. Villa and Spurs, trying to get back into it. But very exciting nonetheless. Let's see how it goes. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.